Citizens of Phoenix are again under attack.
There's some nut job going around shooting people.
Everyone was terrified, and everyone talked about it.
Do we lock our doors and not go out at night?
The city was under siege.
She got shot.
She got shot?
Who does that? You know, who does that to someone?
Phoenix police arrested Dale Hausner as the serial shooter stalking the city.
It was hard to believe. I myself had to see more proof.
I did not shoot anybody or kill anybody.
He was a master manipulator and a masterful liar.
This guy took a lot from me. My dad was a great, great father and a great man.
Why would you do something like this, Mr. Hausner?
I was next to a ticking time bomb all this time. My name is Randy Hausner, and my brother is a serial killer. You know, our heart goes out to you, and we just want you to know that.
Your brothers didn't just take my dad away. He took a brother, a son, grandpa.
Serial killers devastate everyone around them. I know. I'm Melissa Moore, and my father murdered 8 women. I'm telling my story to encourage family members of other killers to come out of the shadows, to reach out to the families of the victims and express their sorrow for the crimes. This is the intimate horror of having a monster in my family. Dale Hausner grew up on the streets of Phoenix, Arizona, the youngest of 5 brothers. Despite his family's financial hardships, Dale had big dreams of being a boxing promoter.
Welcome to the best of boxing, everybody. I'm your host, Dale Hausner.
But after a life of dramatic ups and downs, the streets of Phoenix became his hunting ground.
As the sun goes down, concern rises, and cops hit the streets, hoping to stop the serial shooter before he takes aim and fires again.
In a 15-month shooting spree, Dale Hausner terrorized the city. Among those stunned by Dale's arrest was the brother who thought he knew him best.
I was second to the youngest, so I did look out for him. Growing up, I never would have suspected there was that much wrong. I mean, he had his moments where he was hard to be around. I helped him the best I could. I never really sensed any major danger.
Phoenix police have arrested the man they believe is the city's serial shooter, responsible for multiple deaths.
When I first heard the news, the first thing me and my mom and everybody else thought is, it can't be true.
You never pulled a trigger?
I'd like to see him prove it. They're gonna have to prove it because I didn't do anything wrong.
Are you the serial shooter?
Absolutely not.
Dale Hausner killed my father. This guy took a lot from me, and he's still taking from me to this day.
I would like to meet the victims' families, to reach out and talk to them and tell them, you know, I'm sorry for your loss. You were the victim of an evil coward that, for his own sickness and twistedness, lashed out at innocent people.
The serial shootings occurred over large sections of the Phoenix area. This neighborhood is near the site of one of them. I'm on my way to meet Randy Hausner, the brother of Dale Hausner, the serial shooter. And I'm looking forward to hearing his story and then also taking him to meet Clarissa Rowley, a survivor, and also Justin Mendez. His father is believed to be the first victim in Dale Hausner's shooting spree. In the 10 years since the shootings terrified the city, the Hausner family has remained in the shadows. Hey, Randy. I'm Melissa.
Nice to meet you, Melissa.
Nice to meet you. Hey, let's have a seat. There's just so many things I want to ask you, and I know we have some things in common.
Definitely.
This is the first time a Hausner family member has talked on camera.
It's kind of hard to share your weakness when you're throwing up because you read your own brother's diary, or you're waking up screaming at night from a nightmare because of what happened. Those things are harder to share. Those things are harder to talk about.
I think it's difficult probably being a brother of a serial killer. You know, you grew up alongside with Dale. So when you look back, what do you think about that?
You know, the realization first hit me that he was guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt. The first thing that hit me was evil among us. I mean, that grew up in our family side by side with us. Growing up, we were very poor, but didn't quite know it. Dale, as a young child, was just kind of a silly, slap-happy kid. We got along relatively good, although he did like his alone time. I always joke, genetically, in one way, we inherited the weak, puny gene, but as we got older, we learned to exercise more, at least get stronger for what we had.
For the Hausner brothers, a favorite exercise is boxing. But the sport also offers a glimpse into Dale's dark side.
We had a punching bag. Dale would talk to the punching bag and he would say, "I don't want any problems," and he'd throw a punch at it. And then he'd stop and he'd say, "Really, I don't want any problems." And he'd practice this quick, sharp punch movement out of the blue. He came home one day and he was like really fired up. And I said, "Well, what's going on?" He says, "Well, this kid's been picking on me every day, so I finally took care of it. I did what I did to the punching bag." I said, "Well, I'm proud of you for defending yourself." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, but there's something more." When my hand hit his face and I saw the blood, it felt good.
It's a glimpse into Dale's secret life, a life that Randy would only learn about much later when he discovers Dale's private journal.
Here's a part where he says, "I started stealing and starting fires when I was 9. My one passion was destroying things. I loved it, breaking windows, slashing tires, spraying bleach on people's clothes while they hung to dry."
Is this the brother you knew?
No. It makes you wonder, did he just choose evil? Is something wrong with his brain? A lot of things go through your mind.
As kids, the only odd thing I can remember, if we were spending the night in the same room, I remember waking up one time and he was staring at another friend, just staring at him. It was like, that's kind of weird, Dale.
Dale's personality was outgoing. I mean, he did know how to charm people. He really had no problem getting dates and was quite socially savvy.
Dale marries when he's 18. He adopts his wife's son, and soon they have a son of their own.
Dale really did like being a dad. He accepted his adopted kid as much as his own flesh and blood kid.
But the marriage fails, and by age 21, Dale has a new wife when tragedy strikes on a family trip.
His wife at the time was driving and hit a guardrail. They plunged into the river, and the car sank. The kids in the back seat were strapped in the car seat. His wife swam to the side, and he kept going under to try to save him. All he would get is handfuls of broken glass. It was freezing. He was shaking. He said it was so bad that he was losing feeling, and he said he had a choice of going back down one more time and not coming up, or swimming to the side. And he chose to swim to the side. And sometimes I wonder if that was the right decision. He used to tell me, when my kids died, I died. He seemed to have a tortured soul about him. I'm not making excuses in any way, shape, or form for his behavior, but that being said, that might have been a trigger point.
Dale's second marriage ends unhappily, but in 2003, at age 30, Dale fathers a daughter with a new girlfriend.
He really did love his daughter, and he was taken back by the fact that she was ill, because his daughter had a disease that was really wearing on her, and they were concerned whether she would make it or not. He really did the best he could and was very concerned. I guess he was stressed because he started calling in sick a lot. Poor attendance started creeping in.
But it isn't the care of his daughter that causes Dale to miss work. In May of 2005, Dale starts a new nocturnal activity. He joyrides through the quiet streets of Phoenix with a gun.
Nobody reported a shot being fired in the area. When he was found in the street by passersby on a car, they thought he'd been the victim of a motor vehicle accident. And again, it wasn't until paramedics arrived here, found the gunshot wound in the middle of his back. Tony Mendez was shot in the back while he's riding his bicycle.
He was actually going to take candles to a family that had no electricity. He used to ride this bike everywhere. That's when he was taken.
No leads, no suspects, no known reason. This, a quiet residential neighborhood where a guy on a bicycle was shot and killed, was the start of this whole case.
I was 17 years old. I never thought I would lose my dad. I remember one time I was little, we were watching a movie and somebody died, and I said, "Dad, when you're gonna die?" And he said, "Never." Just, I don't know, that's very tough. I'm sorry.
When I meet Justin, I would like to let him know that I understand one thing, and that is that when somebody is killed, it affects the sons, the daughters, the family of everyone that's involved.
In the summer of 2005, random shootings increased, and investigators are stumped.
It was so fast I couldn't even see anything.
There was bullet casings on the sidewalk.
And Dale Hausner is just getting started. Randy Hausner is about to meet with the son of a man killed by his brother, Dale Hausner, and express his sorrow for the crime. As part of his journey, Randy returns to the home he once shared with his brother. With him is his childhood friend, Jesse Sullivan.
Yeah, that's the old house.
Wow. Dale was just a little kid back then, and just like another kid in the neighborhood.
It's a dorky, skinny little kid. Remember when we used to go in the clubhouse and look out that window and shoot the BB gun at the wires and usually miss them?
Yeah.
We weren't very good shots.
We weren't good hunters, I'll tell you that.
And Dale had a good time doing that.
Maybe, in retrospect, a little too good a time.
Yeah. As children, we would hang out in the clubhouse and we'd shoot pigeons with our BB guns. Shooting my BB gun was probably the first time he shot a gun.
In thrill killing, it's more about destruction. It doesn't have to necessarily be human destruction. It can be animal destruction.
Dale chronicled his desire to destroy in a secret journal that Randy discovers years later.
We had like a shared storage room that he used to throw junk in, a lot of toys. So I started going through and found this notebook. And I instantly knew that it was a diary or a journal written by him. But as I started reading it, it sickened me.
Written 10 years before the shooting spree, Dale relates brutal incidents from his childhood to his early 20s.
The birds that I shot and didn't immediately die were tortured. Others were buried up to their necks in the yard. Sometimes I would put them in a shoebox and microwave them. The smell was horrible, but I enjoyed the end result. I think I would just sit him down and say, you know what? You chose evil. You chose wrong.
In 2005, Hausner takes up a gun, randomly targeting victims across the Phoenix metro area.
I got a call at 4 o'clock in the morning. They had a homicide at 83rd Avenue and I-10. This is the area where the victim was laying that night. Besides his body, the only other evidence that we saw is we saw some change laying on the ground, and there was a guitar and some luggage up here by the on-ramp. It's sad. This kid didn't harm anybody. He was just trying to hitchhike to get out of town. I don't know how they got his attention. They probably called him to the vehicle. That's what we suspect. Nobody saw anything. Nobody heard anything. He had no identification whatsoever. We took his fingerprints. David Estrada. He had a single gunshot wound to his chest.
They said, "Mrs. Estrada?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, we're detectives and we found your son." And I said, "Did he do something wrong?" And they said, "No, we found him dead." I fell to my knees and prayed to God that they're liars. You don't ever get over the loss of a child. It's something no one should ever have to go through. He was just a wonderful boy. It's a huge hole in my heart It will never be replaced.
The shootings across the Phoenix area are so random. At first, investigators do not see a connection. Then, at the end of 2005, police respond to a series of attacks over one horrific night.
Starting on the 29th of December, we had a vehicle shot, 2 dogs shot, 4 humans shot from about 6 o'clock in the evening to about 4 o'clock in the morning.
The last victim of the night is Clarissa Rowley, a Marine and a veteran of the war in Iraq.
I was on the sidewalk. At one point, I did see the vehicle that the suspect was in, and then I noticed him turn and pass me again. I seen him stick the shotgun outside the window. Just seeing that shotgun barrel is like, oh goodness, this guy is taking a shot. I was very scared. And he took one shot. And I tried to deflect. I tried to get down on the ground from what my military training has taught me to do. I wasn't quick enough to do that, but I think with just putting up my hands, it prevented my body from taking majority of the buckshot.
Wounded and bleeding, Clarissa flags down a driver who takes her to the hospital. She has buckshot in her hands, wrists, and spine.
If the buckshot would have gone in like millimeters closer to my jugular vein, it would have killed me.
Nurses give Clarissa some unexpected news.
They took the blood and then went and ran the test. They came back and said, "You're pregnant." I hadn't noticed any signs yet, so I had no idea. I just remember even being on the phone with my mom, hunched over and telling her how much pain I'm in. And I think as a result from maybe the pain medication and just the stress of the whole situation and being in a lot of pain, I ended up having a miscarriage. Being in the military is like, you know, you see people lose their lives and you have best friends that die because they're serving their country. But these people are going around just killing people who are innocent. Who does that? You know, who does that to someone? It just messes up their whole lives. To learn how many there were and that people were getting killed, animals were getting shot at, is surreal.
Police form a serial shooter task force as the continuing murders grip the city in fear.
Everyone was terrified and everyone talked about it. If you were standing in line at a sandwich shop for lunch, people would start talking about it and they would say, "Did you hear the latest? There's been another shooting."
The serial shooter appears to strike between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m.
I had another brother who would walk at night. He had this habit of if he needed something at 7-Eleven, by gosh, he was going to walk down there. And I used to tell him, "You can't walk down there. There's a nut job out there."
Dale Hausner revels in the carnage. In early 2006, he takes on a partner, and the violence escalates. In 2006, the city of Phoenix lives in fear as an unknown gunman leaves a trail of death, destruction, and pain.
There appears to be no common link between the victims. It's not clear if the shooter uses...
Ashley is hit by bullets from a passing car. She lay there in excruciating pain until her husband finds her.
Estimated 100 detectives working the cases get any resource they need.
The shooter is Dale Hausner. Today, his brother Randy is about to express his sorrow with 2 people whose lives were shattered by the shootings, and hopefully provide some healing for both sides.
When I first got shot at that night, I was thinking, okay, this person is crazy.
He killed people who he thought didn't mean anything to anybody, but everybody matters to somebody. Everybody.
If I could have the families of the victims know anything, it is that when somebody does horrible, evil things like that, as a family, we don't justify it. We stand with you.
Early in 2006, Dale Hausner meets a partner in crime, Sam Dietman.
Sam was pretty much on the streets, didn't have a place to live, and Dale kind of took him in.
It was pretty much a marriage made in heaven. You could say Sam took the passenger seat in the serial shooter crimes.
She got shot.
She got shot?
Right away.
Yeah, we're okay.
We're right on the street right now.
Claudia Gutierrez was killed on the spot. Didn't make it to the hospital.
What happened to Claudia Gutierrez Cruz is such a sad story. She's a very, very hardworking girl. At a restaurant, she'd come in on her day off because they'd called her in for extra help.
When she missed her bus connection, she decided to go ahead and walk home.
You know, here he is late at night. Here's some innocent person walking and, you know, a predator preying on that person. It's just a repulsive thing to even bring up in your mind.
Dale would go back to crime scenes later to look at the havoc and all the media attention. He enjoyed that. That was part of his emotional tie-in. That was important for Dale to see the carnage.
In the summer of 2006, the number of shootings and killings escalates, yet Dale continues to operate undetected, even by his own brother, who works with him at the Phoenix airport.
It was a crazy time here in Phoenix, Arizona. At break time, when all of us would get together, we discussed the serial shooters in the valley and all that. And I remember Dale actually kidding somebody, saying, "Hey, was that you?" Dale never confided in me about any issues that he was dealing with. I really didn't notice anything other than him being tired, missing a lot of work.
Dale tried to make himself something he really wasn't. What Dale was a janitor at the airport, and he couldn't stand that. He trumpeted himself as this boxing guru. None of that was true. He tried to have his own cable television show. It was an absolute failure.
I have got a great show tonight. I'm really excited. I've got
Everything he did to try to make himself somebody significant blew up in his face.
But Dale does make a mark on the city streets.
Do we lock our doors and not go out at night?
When this was happening around the valley, everybody, including myself, were a little extra cautious. I noticed that if I was driving at night and somebody pulled up next to me, I'd look extra more than you normally would, and you know, what's going on?
It was a terrifying time. People were being told to stay in at night, bring your pets into the house at night.
The frustration level was pretty high. We were getting a lot of pressure, but we were just going nowhere with it. Part of my frustration was fear that it was going to happen again.
Victims report the shooters drive a Toyota Camry, but police have no leads on their identity.
Anything suspicious, please call us. It could be that tip that leads us to our suspect.
There was actually a 2-day stretch where we received 2,000 tips. But until Ron Horton came along, all the leads that we got were basically inconsequential. Ron Horton was the pivotal tipster in this case.
Ron happened to frequent the same bars that Sam did.
Sam Dietman had told Ron Horton during a conversation when they were out drinking that he had used a shotgun to kill somebody.
Police finally have a solid lead, but there's a problem.
We could not locate Sam Dietman. Our manhunt had come up completely empty. So what we asked Ron to do was to meet with Sam so we could put him under surveillance.
But before they can set up a meeting, yet another innocent victim will be shot. Randy Hausner is coming forward to meet with those who suffered at the hands of his brother Dale, and hopefully help them find some healing.
You know, I'm glad that you're willing to meet with the victims and the family members of the victims, because it could go positive, it could go in a different direction,
I mean,
not one that you would expect.
What if they get mad and cuss me out in the place of Dale? I mean, what if they... I don't know what can happen.
On July 30th, 2006, police pursue their first real lead. Informant Ron Horton tries to meet with Dale Hausner's partner, Sam Dietman, but gives up when there's no response. That same night, 22-year-old Robin Blasnick is out alone on a city street.
Robin Blasnick got a text from a boy she liked, and he asked her to come over.
She left her residence walking in her slippers and her nightwear. Robin suffered from a learning disability. She had her first boyfriend, and the fact that she had a full-time job was just a big step for Robin. We were headed to the corner where Robin ultimately died. Unfortunately, the corner that she was murdered on was well lit.
It was about 6 in the morning. It was barely dawn. When the cops came to her parents' house, they didn't even know she had snuck out. They thought she was down the hall, sleeping.
On August 1st, 2006, the police get a break. Dale's partner, Sam, agrees to have a drink with the police informant at a local bar.
The person that dropped Sam off was Dale Hausner. And this was the first time we ever even knew that Dale even existed. And this is the first time that we'd seen Hausner's car, which was an identical match to our shooting vehicle.
When Hausner and Dietman leave the bar, they head out to cruise the streets. Detective Schwarzkopf and the investigation team must follow the vehicle without giving themselves away.
The night that we had Samuel Dietman and Dale Hausner under surveillance was probably one of the worst nights I've ever spent as a police investigator. We were basically following them to see when they were going to shoot somebody. And we did not know if we were going to be able to intervene in time to save somebody's life. There were several occasions where they slowed to shoot people, but because our surveillances were so close, they didn't pull the trigger.
They track Hausner and Dietman back to their apartment and continue the surveillance.
Sam came back out with a big trash bag and walked over to the dumpster and tossed it in and walked away.
In it was a Phoenix Metro map with several locations marked of sites where we'd had these shootings. Also, we found a Dr. Pepper can, and inside that Dr. Pepper can was a .410 shotgun shell. Also found in this trash bag was the name of Robin Blasnick written in a red felt pen. It's huge for us. The trash bag was huge. It gave us evidence which we'd never had before. Based on that evidence, we were able to get an emergency wiretap.
Oh my God, she looks familiar. No, Blasnick? I think so. I know what, Blasnick? Phoenix and Mesa police is now officially arrested for the shooting death of a young Mesa woman who was serial killer. They've now bringing their total to 6. Higher than that. What about the guy shot on 27th Avenue in the yard? I'll let you go back. That's so much fun.
Hausner even involves his 2.5-year-old daughter.
Say good night, Sam. See you in the morning. Say don't kill anybody.
He was basically, through his daughter, in his own sick way, musing over the fact that they had murdered individuals. It was a big joke to him at that point.
As soon as authorities hear the wiretap recordings, police move in.
Police arrested Dale Hausner and Samuel Dietman, charging them as the perpetrators of the serial shooter crime spree.
I remember the day that I found out. I was cooking some eggs. I was in my apartment. It was still very early, and I just flipped over my eggs, and I got a knock on the door. Well, it was my mom. She's shaking, and she says, "You're not going to like this. Dale's been arrested. They think he's the serial shooter." And I dropped the plate, and it broke into all sorts of pieces, and we just stood there looking at each other, shaking.
Dale Hausner is under arrest, but his reign of terror is not over. On August 4th, 2006, the city of Phoenix is rocked by the arrest of Dale Hausner as a serial shooter stalking the city.
Why would you do something like this, Mr. Hausner?
Now his brother Randy is coming out of the shadows to meet with the victims of Dale's crimes.
My heart goes out for the victims, and I want them to know that this isn't one of those families that want to rally around the criminal. It's totally opposite.
Take me back to when you found out about your brother.
I was just shocked and devastated. I went to the police station and I said, is it true? Is it true? And they said, we got the serial shooter, and everybody's applauding and cheering and say, yeah, we got the bastard. And that's my brother they're talking about.
Looking for answers, Randy visits Dale in jail.
He looked me straight in the eyes when I finally got a hold of him and said, I swear to God I'm innocent. Please stand by me.
As far as you know,
Dale denies involvement to everyone.
you guys have never been together doing anything violently together.
No way. No.
He was absolutely cocky, and it was very obvious to me during our interview that he knew as much about the crimes as I did because he was there and he remembered them.
Hausner takes his plea to the court of public opinion and holds a press conference in jail.
How is it that you're here then, sir?
Why I'm here is because I have Sam Dietman staying with me for about 5 weeks. And apparently at night, Sam had been taking my car out and using various weapons that I have in my house to commit crimes.
Dale's press conference really confirmed with me the psychopathic nature of his personality. He was a master manipulator and a masterful liar.
Are you the serial shooter? Absolutely not.
Sam Dietman, within 5 minutes of my interviewing him, gave up Dale Hausner as one of the serial shooters.
Brought this little shotgun, fired at some fat guy who was walking down the road.
What does Dale do after he fires?
He kind of chuckles a little bit and has a gun down beside his leg.
Dietman agrees to testify for the prosecution. A number of surviving victims also testify, including Clarissa Rowley.
It was very emotional. You know, I'm gonna have to get in front of this guy. You know, I don't know him. The last time I saw him, he was looking down the barrel of his gun.
The trial is a painful reminder to the victims' loved ones of just how much they've lost.
Losing my dad, my dad was a very special person in our family. You never want the last words to be the wrong words. Whenever you guys part, just always an I love you. At least it'll be better. If anything does happen to him, it'll be easier on you.
So when your brother ultimately went to trial, did you go in his defense, or did you go just to hear what the testimonies were or the trial in general because you're curious?
To begin with, I went there out of curiosity. You know, there was a process of, I got to give him the benefit of the doubt, and it started to change and more stuff started adding up till eventually I knew that I was dealing with a madman.
Randy Hausner is in court with his parents when the verdict comes in. Dale Hausner receives the death penalty 6 times.
I actually felt good about it. When you do that kind of evil, the best thing that could happen is you be put out of your misery. For the sake of the victims and even for himself. I told him that to his face.
On June 19, 2013, Dale Hausner commits suicide by overdosing on medications he stored up in prison.
I gotta admit, at that time I shed no tears. I actually felt relief. I said, it's over.
Justice for me would have been for him to be in a cell for the rest of his life.
Dale never took responsibility for what he did. It never seemed like he showed to me regret for what he did.
For Randy, there's still unfinished business, expressing his family's sorrow to his brother's victims.
Today's the big day that you're going to meet Clarissa Rowley.
Yes.
Who's a survivor from a bullet from your brother.
You know, I feel a little anxiety, a little bit nervous, a little bit apprehensive, I got to admit.
The main thing that I would want to ask Randy is just, did you know? I got buckshot pellets in my left hand and my right hand. One buckshot went through my neck and one grazed my hip. I ended up having a miscarriage. Just knowing that, you know, I would have had a child if it didn't happen, it's hard.
I'm Melissa.
I'm Clarissa.
Why don't you come on in? Randy's already inside.
Thank you. The main goal as far as meeting Randy probably would be just some closure. Did you know that he was doing anything? Did he give you hints? Did he seem different?
No, I mean, it just totally took us off guard.
Before he actually got the sentencing, did you believe that he did or didn't do it?
Actually, when he first got arrested, he was swearing to me, I'm innocent, I'm innocent, I'm innocent. I bit into that to begin with.
Right.
And then as time went by and I started hearing more and more, and then finally, long story short, is I happened to find some of his writings, and I knew from that moment on, without a shadow of a doubt, this guy is guilty.
Right.
And it breaks my heart to see people like you did nothing wrong just to be the victim of what he said, RV, random violence.
Right after it happens, you're like, what the heck just happened? It's devastating. I mean, I didn't want to die. Nobody wants to die. And yeah, the thought did cross my mind, hey, is this going to be okay? Am I going to have full functionality of my hands?
It seems like you recovered fully, correct? Or?
From May 2005 to August 2006, Dale Hausner terrorized Phoenix, killing 8 people and wounding at least 20 others. Today, Randy Hausner is meeting with 2 people to express his family's regret and remorse for his brother's crimes. Clarissa Rowley survived a shotgun blast fired at point-blank range by Dale.
Yeah, the thought did cross my mind, hey, is this going to be okay? Am I going to have full functionality of my hands?
It seems like you recovered fully, correct? Or?
Well, that night later at the hospital, I did end up finding out that I was pregnant. So I did, as a result, lose my unborn child because of that. So.
It just, it never gets better. It just gets worse. The more you hear about what happens, I don't know. It's heartbreaking, it really is. I mean, here's an innocent person walking down the street minding their own business, and then that happens to you. I admire your strength. I met somebody that rose above the challenges, that took a horrible situation. I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, my family's heart, that we want to send blessings your way, and I'm sorry. See, I seldom get to meet somebody like you face to face, and it is a true blessing.
It's a great feeling to be able to do something like this, to hopefully give the other victims a chance to see that you can overcome tragedy.
When you have all these questions like who did it and why, it holds you back from getting over it and healing and getting through it.
Justin Mendez is seeking answers for why his father was murdered by Dale Hausner.
He did a lot of pain to my family, especially my little brothers and sisters. It hit them the most because they barely got to know my dad.
Justin, me and my family in no way justify the behavior that my brother did, his evil acts towards your innocent father. It disgusts us, and our heart goes out to you, and we just want you to know that. You lost your father, and that's a heart-wrenching thing. How did you find the strength to deal with that?
My father wouldn't want me to, fall off track because of him being gone. He'd want me to be a better man. So I did my best to, try to make him proud because I know somewhere he's looking down on me. My dad, he was a very, very good person, and he loved his family. That same with my little sister. He always had her in his arms.
So Justin is also a dad now.
Yeah, that also helped me get through losing my dad. Was my kids. So those are his grandkids.
Oh, what a little doll.
That's something I think about every day, that they're never gonna meet their grandpa, but your brothers didn't just take my dad away. He took a brother, a son, grandpa. Mm-hmm.
Something that I wanted to tell you about was one time I went to visit Dale on death row.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they were talking about, that prisoner over there, he killed a child and that's worse. And I said, yeah, that's horrible. But when you kill an adult, if they have a child, you are harming that child.
Yeah, and it's not like you ever get over something like this. There's days you let go and you break down, or there's days like I compare all the time. Oh, look at that kid with his dad, or look at that guy with his daughter and his dad. My family, they just want to know why like somebody would take somebody as good as my dad.
I wish I could have given you more justice. You deserve better than what I've brought to the table today, to be honest. You deserve answers, and I can't give them. If the situation is reversed, I could only hope I would be half the man you are and be able to come and talk and be at peace with it. So I really appreciate meeting you.
I'm sorry. You're very, very, very not what I expected. Like you sound like you have a good heart yourself, and I'm just kind of like shocked by that, you know? Because seeing someone like Dale, you figure he comes from something that's similar, but I mean, you seem a lot different. I think it's very brave of you and big of you to come out here and do this, knowing, you know, you're practically taking ownership of what your brother did when it's not your fault, but hearing from you as his brother, you know, sorry, and I think this whole experience was a good experience. It takes a really big person to step forward for what his brother did, even though it's not his fault. But it's still nice to know that his family is sorry and, you know, they are wishing the best for us and just wanting to make the world a better place. And I know one person in a big world is not much, but it's at least something, you know, it's at least something.